Hey guys, I'm going to be talking about extreme cinema and some of the more underrated films that most people don't talk about. So here you go. The first movie, it is French. It is In My Skin. I want to say it was directed by Marina van de Kamp. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. It is about this young woman. She injures herself while walking to a party one night. And it's a really bad cut, but she goes on to the party and doesn't realize how bad it is. And then when she goes to the ER, they tell her how horrible and horrific it is. And she quickly learns that she has like this thing where she cannot feel pain. And she gets very curious about this. And it gets very, very dark very quickly. It deals with stuff like self-discovery, I guess you could say. And it gets very graphic. It is a very, very beautiful film though. Despite the content matter, it is beautifully made. I would kind of compare it to the film Kissed, if you've seen that one. It's very similar. It's very, very beautiful. Next up is an Asian film. It is Dumplings. I saw this in a film called Three Extremes, where they had like 3 different horror anthologies or whatever. And this movie is amazing. It follows this woman. She wants to stay young and she wants to look beautiful forever. And she sees this lady who has like a remedy for this. And it is pretty effed up. You basically have to consume these dumplings. And in the film you find out what the dumplings are. And it's disturbing, it's gross, and it's gorgeous. I love that movie. Next up, I believe it is British. It is Mum and Dad. This is basically the British answer to films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff. Highly, highly dysfunctional, messed up families doing really bad stuff together. This movie opens up in an airport. And we're following these 3 young adults, maybe late teens, just on a normal shift. And one night they're drinking after work. And one of the girls, the 2 of the other workers are brother and sister. So that'll help you a little bit. And this other girl, she eventually drinks whatever they give her. And then she wakes up trapped in their house as a prisoner. And fun stuff starts happening. I'll put it that way. Now this one has a lot of everything. It does have essay and stuff like that also. I don't believe the other 2 did. So just to let you know. Next is the Morningside Trilogy. It is basically, I'm not sure where it originated, but it is basically their answer to August Underground. It is essentially the same movie. I'm sorry. Ron DeCaro who made this. I'm very sorry, but it is. I've only seen The Gateway Meet, which is the first film into the trilogy. So I cannot speak on the other 2. Lots of shaky camera. It's not really a good movie. It's just one of those movies you put on and you fast forward and you see all the effed up stuff in it, basically. Just like August Underground. And it is similar in that it is very hard to find as well, unfortunately. So if you catch it, watch it, fast forward it. It's not that great. That's all I got. Next is, I want to say it was done by Takashi Miike. This was in the Masters of Horror collection. It is Imprint. This film is very hard to describe. It is like this American, and I want to say he is in like Thailand or something like that. And he meets this woman, and then it gets very audition-like. All of those type of movies. I don't know what all I'm allowed to say on here, so just work with me. It is very like that. And nothing makes any logical sense. It is very Asian in that way. So, and it's only under, I want to say it's like 50 minutes, so it's not that long. You just see a lot of, there you go. Next up is kind of like a slasher film, but not really. It is one of my favorites on the list. It is Baby Blues. This film, in my opinion, is genius, absolute genius. It follows this mother who has postpartum depression, and she's caring for many, many, many kids by herself in a very isolated farmhouse kind of thing. And she's losing her mind. This is very disturbing. It is extremely, she's basically her own kids. And eventually, you know, they start fighting back and stuff, and it gets interesting. It's not just straightforward, boom. This movie is very indie. It is very low budget, but it is the most original, amazing concept I have seen in a really, really long time. And I want to say this came out in like 2008, so it's not even new, but it is 100% worth a watch, because this stuff happens every single day. That's why it's so disturbing. Then is a very mainstream movie. It is Bug, the movie with Ashley Judd. And I want to say it was a remake from something else, but I'm not sure. Or like on Broadway or something. Maybe I'm losing it. But this movie is about this man and this woman, and they become very obsessed with this concept that there are bugs living inside of them. And so they try to get them out of them the entire movie. This is also a very common mental illness. So this actually does happen in real life to people. It is very bothersome when you can see people do certain things to themselves. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And it is the most mainstream one on this list. Then I want to say it's German, maybe French. It was done by Corinne Gebel. It's Nothing Bad Can Happen. This movie is very psychological. It doesn't have a lot of gore like the other films. Okay. It doesn't have a lot of gore like the other films. It is very in your head. This movie is not going to be for everybody. You have to like a particular type of stuff to enjoy this film. It is very slow. It is very, very character driven. So I'll give you that ahead of time. It follows this guy. He has seizures, and he gets thrown out of his little living situation. And he meets this family that looks very nice, very typical, conventional. And he helps them fix their car one day. And then they invite him over for dinner, and he goes, and everything is perfect and great. And this kid is a diehard Christian. So that's all he's really, really about. And they make the offer to let him move into their house. And so he takes them up on it. And they slowly and methodically take every single thing away from this kid. It's really, really sad. And then they begin to degrade him and do every messed up thing imaginable to this poor kid. All the while, this kid has the ability to say no and walk away at any given time, but he doesn't. He just stays and endures. And it's really, it F's with your mind. So I guess if you've never been in that situation, it might not make any sense to you. But if you have, watch this movie. Then is Philosophy of a Knife. This movie, I want to say it's Unit 731. I hope I got that right. This was a unit that abducted people and would perform experiments on them. Very, very, very horrific, brutal experiments on people, on everybody. Women, kids, babies, every single person. And the real life cases are actually way worse than this movie. And this movie is pretty graphic. And it's one of those films you might want to fast forward through it. It does get it does drag quite a bit. And there's a lot of fallen snow, but if you read the real life cases, it makes sense as to why that would be there. So in my opinion, it's very necessary, but you will probably want to fast forward. But yeah, you basically just see the real life experiments that are awful, absolutely awful. Anyways, the last film is My personal favorite, it is Gardens of the Night. This one probably doesn't fit in with all the other films on here. It is on here because it is, well, it's very disturbing. It is very extreme. This deals with trafficking, particularly children. And it is a massive, massive trigger warning for this movie if you've ever been through that kind of thing, or that kind of thing is really sensitive to you. It is the most realistic depiction of that kind of thing. And it features one of my favorite performances, surprisingly, by Tom Arnold. Like, the guy can act, and he does a phenomenal, phenomenal job in this movie. He plays the bad guy, and that's all I'm gonna say in case you decide to watch it. So, there you go. Bye, guys.